Yeah.
You move forward and you learn a way forward. And one thing that's so obvious, and I know you and I talk about this and that we both get this, is that you can't go back. Most clients come in and they want to be who they used to be. Oh, I just want to go back to who I was. Oh my God, please help me get back to that person. I'm really sorry, but we will never be that person again. But that's a good thing, isn't it?
Hmm.
Because we have the experience, we have the wisdom, and our bodies have nervous system changes as a result of that, that we can manage and that we can regulate and safely let go of. And the wisdom and the lessons and learnings and gifts in our trauma. And I know for your listeners, they're thinking, what the fuck is she on? There's no gift in my trauma, but
They're used to hearing me say that.
yeah, there is. And we know that once we can come to terms with that, we can be whoever we want to be.
Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, it's not good enough? Like perfect is the only standard, but you're still left feeling behind? Perfectionism keeps us stuck. It robs us of peace, of our joy, and the freedom to just be. That's why I created Beauty of Imperfection, Good is Enough, a guided workbook to help you let go of the pressure, quiet your inner critic, and start celebrating progress over perfection. Inside, you'll find tools that remind you your worth has never depended on being perfect. It's time to embrace the beauty of imperfection because good really is enough. Let me remind you, you are always worthy. You already are. Get your copy of my workbook today. Emotionally unavailable.
All right. I'm really excited to see you. I'm so glad that we're doing this today. I was just reading about you again because I was like, I really didn't know very much before we recorded together for your show.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for instance, I didn't realize you're a doctor. I
Oh,
don't know how I missed that, but
that's
okay, hey. I was like, oh, doctor. Okay, shit. I hope
yeah.
I didn't say disrespectful. Like,
Oh,
some people really care if you address them by that. And so
I
I was
know.
like,
I don't. I'm not precious.
I
Like
say that
now.
too. I always talk about precious people. That's
Oh
so funny.
no.
Um, man,
Funny.
and also I was reading the description of your show. By the way, your marketing is fab. Because
Oh,
the way
thank
the
you.
way it's written so succinctly about what your show is, what you
Oh,
do as a human, like all the things,
thank
um,
you.
I really like it, and also I'm so excited to know that shows like yours exist because it's very mentory also, but it's
Mm,
very personal. So just so you know, what I did is I went to your Spotify. I haven't done anything on Apple yet because I work with Spotify more. I'm following
me
you.
too.
I set you for automatic downloads,
Oh,
and I
thank
think
you.
I
I've
think
done
I
that for
rated
yours.
you too. So I try to do
Thank
that to my
you. Same.
homies. Good.
Excellent.
So are you okay with starting with like talking about how you developed your show and
Yep.
why that name? Because I'm so fascinated by
Yes.
the tall poppy thing.
Of
So
course.
I want more Americans to hear about it.
Uh, thank you. Yeah. All good. Happy to chat about whatever.
All right. Well, tell me about your show first, because I have a couple other things I want to talk to you about, but I wanted to ask you that first.
Okay. So, firstly, thank you so much again for connecting with me and having me on your show. I'm very excited.
I am too.
Loving listening to your episodes as well. So, I started growing tall poppies, I think it was April last year. I had,
I didn't realize that. We started at the same time?
oh, did we? Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
April 29th, 24 was my first episode.
I think mine was April. Didn't want to do April Fool's Day. It was the 4th of April.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Wow, another connecting point. We are so cosmically aligned here.
Yeah. Us Geminis have to stick together, don't
Yes.
we?
Yes.
Definitely. So for me, it was more, I'd been through my own, well, worked for 35 years in the field of trauma, and I'd gotten sort of out of the psychology field and more into coaching because it's that working towards hope and being future oriented rather than stuck in pain and having to talk about awful stuff all the time and process things in that way. So I thought, I really want to move towards post-traumatic growth. And I thought, okay, wouldn't it be a good idea? I'd always wanted to have a podcast, and I didn't realize how much work it was.
You and me
Oh, yeah.
both, sister. You and me both. Hmm.
You don't just turn
We
up
knew we
and
wanted to
go about
talk. We didn't know we were going to become executive producers.
exactly. So
Mhm.
I
I'm
thought,
with you.
I kept getting amazing people reaching out on social media and saying, "Oh, I'm loving the stuff you're putting out there, and I feel like I really connect with you. And, you know, is there a way we can connect and maybe share our stories as well?" And I thought, yeah, now it's time. And I actually had this dream in the middle of the night and woke up and thought, that's it. I got to do a podcast. And I'm starting next month. I think it was in March last year. Thought, yep, that's it. Going to start. And then another night I woke up growing tall poppies. That's what I'm going to call it. Because over here, as you can tell from my accent, I'm Australian. And it was more around, I hate the idea of people doing something really great and amazing and standing out and being cut down, which is what tends to happen over here. And I know it happens everywhere, but really, Australians are very, very good, unfortunately, at cutting people down, criticising, and like they're jealous when someone else does really well. And that hurts. It hurts my heart. And I just think,
Hmm.
this is not okay. So I'm going to call my show Growing Tall Poppies, because the people that I'm connecting with, that I'm meeting, or that are coming to me just organically are saying, oh my God, I feel like I really want to share. It feels safe with you. So that's sort of how it came about. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. It makes me think Australia must be hurting because people who feel good and feel like they have every opportunity to accomplish whatever they see others accomplishing, they don't do that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't, if I'm being really honest, this is kind of a pain point for me almost whenever I'm discussing things
Mm,
because I didn't, uh, pay attention in school at all. Like, I had trauma brain. I mean, based
mm,
off what stuff I've told you, but
yeah.
I graduated high school with a 1.7 GPA and just barely graduated. And so I don't know history. Like my oldest son, oh my God, he understands history so beautifully and he teaches me a lot because he
Mm,
paid attention and he got a real joy out of learning facts and patterns. Like he's like
mhm,
very like sees the patterns repeating in history. And so he's really on top of things and he's in school for psychology and I really think that he'll end up doing more of a social psychology because he's
mm.
really good at it and he's very attuned to it.
And I
Anyway,
think,
yeah,
sorry,
go
I was
ahead.
going to
No,
say,
go
and I
ahead.
think being your son, he's going to really have that sense of social justice
Mhm. Yeah,
because
and
you
that was
make
one thing that I
sure.
really instilled in him young,
Yeah.
and then it's funny because he's the one who's had to, like, teach me because I believed very differently a few years ago when I was in my
Mhm.
pain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was really emotionally unavailable and dismissive of the pain of everyone around me,
Mhm.
including those larger social issues because I was not managing my own stuff very well. And
Mm.
really, I credit him so much to the education that I've received around the social issues. I'm a social worker, so it's not like I didn't have some of that, like
Of course.
I did.
Yeah.
But when my pain got too big, I couldn't care about the pain of anybody else. So
Yeah.
he really, he's pretty in your face about it, and I didn't think I needed that, but I'm so grateful to him because I have learned so much. But
Mm.
I um I do know a little bit about I mean, this much about, like, the indigenous populations of Australia,
Mhm.
and if that's the root of that place, then I have to imagine there's just a lot of pain there in general, and people feel like I did where, "I got through my stuff, you get through yours, pull yourselves up
Mm.
by the bootstraps. Feels like you guys are now even where America was when we were in the baby boomer generation. They were very the boomers here, they'll come in and cut you right down. They want to make sure you
Mm.
understand at all times that entrepreneurship, stupid, unsafe. Like anything you're excited about, don't be excited about it. And I can see the pain in that generation. That's all that is them not understanding why they didn't have what we have and they can't handle it.
It's
Anyway,
so interesting to hear that reflected back as an observation, and because and I'm not saying everyone's the same, but everyone
sure.
knows what tall poppies are.
Everyone,
Absolutely,
yeah.
everyone
Everyone
over
I've
here
met from
knows.
Australia has brought this up. That's why I'm so fascinated by it. That's why I was like, "Yes,
Mm,
please." When Mel connected us, she said the name of
yeah,
your show, and I was like, "I have to," and I'm so grateful because I just know we're besties for life now. I just know that.
absolutely,
We have connected
absolutely.
on such an intimate level. You're not going anywhere, honey. I hope you know
No,
that.
I'm not going
Um,
anywhere. I love being in your vibe and in your circle. I love it. So
Good. I
excited.
really just love your energy too. And I just feel so connected to you. Like I bet you if we
Yeah.
looked at our astrology, we'd see some connection.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering though, what led you to want to, as a psychologist, do post-traumatic care? Like why was that the
Mm.
focus and important for you?
Great question. For me, I'd always worked in trauma, and it's heavy work, and I know it sounds awful saying it, but I love that work
Mhm.
because I felt like I could hold people in their deepest, darkest moments and be a bit of a guiding light to help them come out of it. And I love that work. And I've worked in some, and I don't often say this, but I'm happy to share that with you. Um, our, and I know this is something that you guys go through regularly with massacres and shootings, but we don't over here. We're
Mhm.
very lucky.
Mhm.
And Port Arthur was our biggest massacre, where a gunman went down in Port Arthur in Tasmania, which is a really remote area, so really hard to access. And he shot many, many people, were killed, and 35 people, and all these people injured. So it was a significant event in Australia's history. And it also happened in a penal colony settlement where a lot of people from England were sent, and a lot of our ancestors, obviously, were criminals
Mhm.
sent over here. So it has a very dark history. And when I look back, I now feel very privileged to have been chosen to work down there. But it was a year post massacre, helping people who were in a lot of pain post trauma, and very, very intensive, working 16-hour days, 7 days a week. But I think the level of adrenaline and knowing that I could be of service to other people and hopefully make a difference really fueled that fire and really connected to my purpose.
Mhm.
And then years later, I went back to my boring, in air quotes, boring job. And I thought, oh my goodness, there's got to be more to it than this,
Mhm.
because I was used to living at that level of adrenaline. So it was a transition period after that. And I didn't know what I know now, that obviously all those stories and experiences were stored in my nervous system. And I just kept
Mhm.
going and pushed through. And then years later, I experienced my own significant trauma and had a ankle surgery, major reconstructive surgery that didn't go so
Mhm.
well, and I caught sepsis and almost died. And that should have been a wake up call, but again, wasn't.
No,
And
of
then I
course
went
not.
on and experienced more trauma after experiencing an assault as a result of treatment, recovery from that. And then I thought, no, recovery from trauma became far more real. And when I knew how to help people heal from their trauma to a degree, but when I was sitting in that, the other side of the couch, that pain became even more real, and I connected to it so deeply, and I thought, there's got to be a quicker way.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, did the big deep dive and really was driven and fueled by my own passion and purpose and my previous experience and knowledge, and thought, no, I'm going to find another way to help people. And I wanted to honor my own challenges and be able to
Mm-hmm.
work with people still, but not with the heavy work, because I wasn't in a place where I could cope with that. So I had to put some boundaries in. And then it's a very long-winded answer, but that's when I got into post-traumatic growth, because I thought I have to look at the hope and future rather than the past and stay stuck in that pain, because talking about it and, people talking and talking and talking and doing what we were trained in, exposure therapy and CBT, was doing
Mm-hmm.
my head in. I thought there's a place for those therapies, absolutely. But I didn't feel like it was working for me and for the people I was working with. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah, that is
changed.
very profound what you're saying.
Thank
By
you.
the way, it didn't feel long-winded to me. Thank you for saying that, because sometimes when I'm answering a question, I will be like, "Oh, that was a long answer," but it wasn't that long. Just so you know, I was
Oh,
enthralled with what you were saying, so it wasn't that long. Um, wow, that is profound. So then no wonder you relate to my journey so much,
yeah,
because do you find for yourself in your practice as well that the game changed when it was personal, when it affected you
absolutely.
too? Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's
And
how we see where the field is lacking. When you get in it and you need the help and you're doing all the stuff you've
mhm,
recommended for years and none of it's working, you see where the
exactly.
gaps in care are.
Yes. And I think, you and I talked about this on my show the other day, that we are trained and, understandably, not a criticism, because rules and regulations are in place for a reason, as you and I talked
Mhm.
about. However, when those regulations are based on old systems,
Mhm.
patriarchal systems, and medical models, they're not tuning into our bodies. They're just in our
Mhm.
head and not connecting to the heart and the gut that we need to reconnect after we've been through trauma. And I just thought, why on earth are people like me as a therapist? What? I shouldn't swear, but I know you
Oh
don't
yeah,
mind
honey,
swearing.
we're explicit up in here.
Uh,
You cuss all you want.
but I just think, what the fuck are we doing
Mhm.
if we are accepting that it can take years and years and years to heal from trauma? And as
Mhm.
therapists, we accept that. I'm like, why should it? People
Right.
deserve to not stay stuck in their pain for years and years. What the fuck is wrong with us? Us
Yes.
as a
Well, we were taught
collective.
that even outside of like our field. This is what we believe as humans. I
Mm,
almost feel like the reason it was established this way was out of fear and expectation, that fear that we're not going to be able to meet somebody's expectations
yes,
of growth or healing or what. I feel like that had to have been a root of why it was designed to be the way it is. And oh, our experience tells us rules are usually made because someone messed up somewhere, and
yeah,
I
of
bet you
course.
it was men. I bet you it was men and the stuff they did with women patients
Absolutely.
and, things like that. So thank you, men again. But it's so true, because the raw connection I feel with my clients, and
Yeah.
like I was thinking about this earlier about I had a client, because you're right. My clients, they come in that first session, they're breathing differently when they leave. That's my
Absolutely.
goal, And I
Yep.
remember listening, we were working on a specific sexual trauma, because this client didn't even recognize that the things they'd experienced were sexual traumas. So it came up on
Mm,
one session. I said, "Yeah, let's
talk about that next time. Because it was like, hey, do you think blah, blah, blah? And I was like, yeah, I wish you hadn't brought it up right now because now I want to talk, But I was like, yeah, let's talk about it next time. So we do. And the whole hour is spent trauma after trauma after trauma. Listen, I'm weeping with them because, like, I am connected to you. You are my.
Yes.
I'm making a joke when I say this, but I'm like, you're my sister in Christ. Like we're humans. We're all part cut from the same cloth. That's what
Yeah.
I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
if you bleed, I bleed. So I'm sitting here and my profession says that's not professional, that you can have a
Exactly.
brief tear. No, I wept. Not in a way
Mm-hmm.
where she felt like she needed to console me, but in a way that she could see I'm human and this is having an impact on me because I can see your pain and I love you because you're a human. So
Yeah.
but I never felt like the old me would have felt so ashamed that I was
Oh.
crying. Well, first of all, I don't even know that I could have before because I didn't
Mm.
cry in front of people at all. I took a great
Yeah.
leap of pride in the fact that I could be staunch and stoic in front of other
Oh,
people.
exactly. Because that's how we are brought up.
Mm-hmm.
That you're strong, and if you're on that pedestal, which is ridiculous, as a therapist or whatever, then you got all your shit together, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't be human because
Oh,
you've got to
no.
have these boundaries in place, and you've got to be ethical. And of course, you have to have boundaries and be ethical, but you are human and you can feel. And some of the stories, the other people's pain that we carry is massive, and you can't not feel. But our role is obviously to be able to work out a way to process their pain and not continue to
Mm-hmm.
carry it with us. And
Right.
that's definitely the key. But we have to be authentic and show up whole in our therapy room, or we're not giving all of ourselves to our job. And
Yeah.
that was so obvious to me after I'd been through it. I thought, oh my God, this is like a next level. I stopped working in the trauma field for a while because I couldn't hold people's pain, because I was more concerned that what if it triggers me in a session, because I
Yeah.
never know what they're coming in with. What if someone comes in with a similar story and all that stuff? So I thought, no, be safe. Don't work with that. So that's where I really thought I'll work with people who aren't as unwell
Mm-hmm.
and work in the post-traumatic growth area and bring in that hope. And oh my God, it opened up a whole new world. And now I love that because I can still deal with people if they're stuck in their pain, but they don't stay stuck there long. We move them
Yeah.
forward. And I know there's other ways of doing it, and can get results with clients very quickly, and they can be accelerated into post-traumatic growth. Do they ever not have their trauma? No. It's
No.
part of who
You and
we
I
are, and
have
that's
our
our
trauma. We walk
experience.
with it every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you move forward and you learn a way forward. And one thing that's so obvious, and I know you and I talk about this and that we both get this, is that you can't go back. Most clients come in and they want to be who they used to be. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to go back to who I was. Oh my God, please help me get back to that person. I'm really sorry, but we will never be that person again. But that's a good thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we have the experience, we have the wisdom, and our bodies have nervous system changes as a result of that we can manage and that we can regulate and safely let go of, and the wisdom and the lessons and learnings and gifts in our trauma. And I know for your listeners, they're thinking, what the fuck is she on? There's no gift in my trauma, but
Nah, they're used to hearing me say that.
yeah, there is. And we know that once we can come to terms with that, we can be whoever we want to be. That's so cool. You
Yeah.
can
It just
become.
occurred to me for the first time that the reason people want so badly to be who they thought they were before is because they don't feel safe anymore in this new world. You know, the
Exactly.
world that's been introduced post whatever their experience was. They haven't adjusted to the fact that change is necessary, and it's going to happen whether it was a traumatic event or a happy event. Your world is going to change a lot
Yes.
throughout your lifetime, and I can recognize that fear and feeling of unsafety popping up many times. I mean, especially, you know, I don't remember if I told you this the other day, but like when my dad died, I very much was put in a who's next. Everyone's going to die now. So now
Yeah.
who is it going to be next? And
Mhm.
I can see that what I actually felt was so unsafe because I didn't know what this
Mm.
meant for my future. Does this mean
Yeah.
I'm going to have bad shit like this pop up every day for the rest of my life? I mean, I'm 15. I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I had already experienced so much trauma up to that point,
Yep.
plenty more after, but like,
Mm.
I was so afraid of what the world was going to be like now. And so I can understand
Yep.
that people are afraid, and I think that's what you and
Yep.
I are so good at is teaching them that this is just a
Mm.
brain response. That helped
Yep.
me more than anything was
Mm.
to understand my brain is not designed to feel, it is designed to keep me alive, and the way it does that is in the meanest way possible. Has to
Yes.
make me feel, you know, our brains are a little, they have tall poppy syndrome. They got to keep us small so that
Exactly.
we don't venture out and get ourselves killed. And you know, I respect you for it, little brain, but no. But we can train our brains and we can help others train their brains. And I think that's been the most rewarding part for me is there hasn't there was only one client, and I'm not getting into it, but other than this one
Mhm.
who did not utilize our sessions well at
Yeah.
all. Other than that one, I haven't had one that didn't leave profoundly changed, no matter
Yeah.
what the number of sessions we had, because I just focus right in on
Mm.
what you're thinking. But like a lot of my clients, because of the dynamic we have, they they stay because they love the growth that they continue to get. They
Yes.
don't need me anymore. They really don't.
Mhm.
But I'm glad they're there because I love them too, but they'll come in with not and maybe not a specific topic. So we're talking and organically, you know, we're talking about our lives. So like they'll tell me a story about da 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 da, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Did you notice this? And they still grow just in organic conversation,
Mm.
and
And
and that's what I'm so passionate about.
yeah, and it's not then that you're not doing full on therapy. It's probably
Mm-hmm.
more coaching and growth stuff, which is healthy.
Yes, it's the next stage. They came in a
Exactly.
crisis usually. Like
Yes.
I've done so many different therapy sessions, and cuz what I tend to attract is the people who are very self-aware and have spent their entire lives intellectualizing like I did. They're
Mhm.
all me. They're different versions of
Yeah,
me. It's so cute.
exactly.
And I had put it out to the universe, like, send me the people meant for me, because this is my brand. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and
Mhm.
sugarcoat. I'm
No.
not gonna play act therapy. I'm going to get to the heart of the issue, and I'm gonna be really real. And there are times that I will just call you to the carpet over something.
Mhm.
It's always depending on the situation. Like, you know, if my baby needs some tenderness, I'm gonna give them some tenderness, and then there's time that they got to hear it straight the way I can say it.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of getting to bring yourself into the
Mhm.
session, because they know I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to
No.
call them out. I'm saying, "Hey, I heard something that I don't think you are hearing." People do it to me on my show all the time. Doesn't bother me, you know?
No.
Like, they'll be like, hey, you know what? I just noticed this just happened this week on a recording. Someone was like, hey, not to call you out, but I heard you saying this, and I'm going to let you know, like,
Mhm.
check that. And I was like, ooh, you're right. I was dismissing myself there. Thank you.
Mm.
That happens. And
But
that's the
that's how we
kind of love I
grow.
want to give these people. Yes. Well, that's why I
Yes.
love my show, man. Don't come on if you're not willing to call someone out, because I love that. I
Exactly.
love that.
And I'm very much as why we connect. I think that what you see is what you get. Call a spade, and
Yes.
and people either love you or hate you. I get that.
Mhm.
I get some people will go, "Oh my God, no," because they wanted someone who was more nurturing. I'll be nurturing when you need it, but at the same time,
Right.
I don't do you any favors if I don't. And like you as well, I'm very aware that one of my skills is to get straight to the root cause very quickly
Mm-hmm.
and work there rather than sugarcoat it and work at the top, because it doesn't help. Doesn't help you to come back
Right.
for years and years and years, and we're just
Thank
talking up
you. And
here
I
over a cup
knew
of tea.
I didn't want that. I know my
No,
Gemini ass doesn't want to see the same
nope,
client every day or every week for 5 years. Now, my
nope.
little core group of clients that I have, like the ones that are left, because I'm not really taking new ones, they can stay forever. I would be happy to see them more than
Mhm.
once a week, even. Like they can stay. But I just knew going in what was gonna be fulfilling, and it's really important that what I'm doing is fulfilling to me, that it
Oh,
lights
yes,
me up, because otherwise it's a drain on my energy, and I've spent too much life drained,
yes.
you know?
Absolutely. I think given when you've gone through, and particularly you with a lifetime of stuff that you've been through, you've had so many years of being drained, you're making a very different choice now. You're living
Mhm.
on purpose, and you are
Yeah.
so clear that that's your thing. And for me, and I think for anyone, any listener who's experienced trauma, which let's be honest,
We
most
all have.
people these
Yeah.
days have had
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And really, if you were alive during COVID, you've had trauma.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And, people go, oh, and I know, some people believe in it and some don't. Not even getting into that. But the reality
Probably
is,
the people who don't believe in it don't listen to my show by now.
but the reality is, that was a collective trauma like nothing we'd ever seen. Like you look back now and you think, oh my God, we weren't allowed to leave our house. We couldn't go more than 5 kilometers from somewhere. And it's like, you look back now and you go, oh my God, what were we doing? What was going
Right.
on? But we were all coming from a place of fear
Mhm.
and uncertainty. And so, as a collective, we all have carried trauma, anxiety, stress, adversity, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
So, we know that when there's collective stuff, there's going to be collective flow on effects. And we're going to see
Mhm.
that in the years to come, particularly in our adolescents and young adults who, spent years being told, spend less time on social media, spend less time gaming, spend less time online. And then suddenly that was their whole way to connect. And it's like, now we're trying to undo all the stuff that we were talking about before. And now it's too late.
Mhm.
Their way of
It really
connecting now
shift
is online.
everything. Mhm.
Yeah. So I
And
think,
some of that shift, I think, for adults was positive because it opened up
yes.
some opportunities. But for adolescents, you're right. That 22-year-old of mine was a junior in high school,
Hmm.
and it wrecked his junior and senior year. Almost didn't get a
Yeah.
graduation. He was devastated. Like there was so much loss for that age group. The
Yeah.
loss of a graduation, the loss of a prom, if that was something you had looked
Yeah.
forward to for your whole life. So
Hmm.
many experiences that, and then nobody felt, because for those of us who were empathetic to that, now I'll be the first to say I was a crazy and was a COVID denier because um of my trauma. Like
Yeah.
I was scared to death. First of all, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. At least I didn't then. I had a 5-year-old daughter who's a
Wow.
lot. And I didn't wanna do it. I
Mm.
just what I felt for years I wasn't cut out to be, like, all day, every day. Summers
Mm.
were taxing enough. So to
Yeah.
have it thrust upon me all of the sudden, and I'm responsible for her education, and I was a
Mm.
teacher at the time, so I was responsible for these children's online education. It was all too much, and I was deep in my crazy. I mean, that was
Mm.
probably the beginning of what ended up being that really bad mental health crisis, because I was
Yeah.
very unwell. I was very
Wow.
unwell during that time. So my way of coping was to not actually fear the disease itself. I was like, oh, that's fake. I mean, I
Yeah. I'll
believed it was
deny
a
it.
disease. I believed it was
Yeah.
real, but I didn't believe it was gonna hurt me or anyone I knew. You know what
Mm.
I mean? I was like, "Oh, no, we're fine, we're fine. Nope." But I did see the implications of what was happening,
Mm.
especially on the children. And so for those
Yes.
of us who tried to empathize and advocate for their wounding that was
Mm.
created there and just wanting to hold them in their pain, then you got all these deniers like, "Oh, and
Mm.
this is better because," and I think that was a really eye-opening experience for me to see the hatred that can come when you're trying to
Yes.
protect yourself.
Yes. And I think, there's a lot of lessons from that. And I'll go back to, you were saying you had a 22-year-old. You have a 22-year-old. So do I. A 22-year-old.
Oh,
There's
that's
another
so
thing.
funny. Oh my
And
God.
he was in his last year of high school, that last bit. And, to be learning online and they'd get 1 hour a week from a teacher and you got your main exams coming up was a joke. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, my son
seriously.
barely passed, and he was an AP student, and he
Same.
couldn't make himself. He's got real good ADHD, and
Same.
not a real, not real self motivated, and all these things.
Yep.
And he's got a mom over here who's depressed and
Mhm.
stressed and
Yep,
a little
same.
manic at the time. I'm not helping you. I did
Mm.
come up with when he got really behind. I made him I went through and wrote down every assignment, and then I kept track because that was the only way we could get anything done during
Mm.
the time. But otherwise, no support from me, no support from anyone else, and he's just left to figure stuff out. I mean, they're doing art history online. Like it was, and they had to
Yeah.
draw pictures. There was so much. So yeah, I totally get it. I mean, he almost failed. His name is not in the graduation pamphlet because that's how close he was to failing and not graduating.
Wow. And when you look at that and yet as a mum, what they're really capable of, it's
Mhm.
heartbreaking. But thankfully, they've managed to, recover and move on and do
Mhm.
something and find their thing as best they can. But those things can't be undone. They're part of the story. And now
Mhm.
it's around us acknowledging that that generation might need a little bit of extra help as they move forward and enter that post-traumatic growth phase. Because if we deny that that was traumatic, we're failing them as well.
Yes. Well, and I think we got to quit denying our own trauma during that time. But
Yes.
this is kind of what we do is dismiss, dismiss, dismiss
Mm,
because it makes us be able to dismiss our own feelings. Something you
yeah.
said earlier reminded me of this too. I remember learning in undergrad actually about not handing tissue to somebody who's crying because
Oh,
it stops the progress and it brings
oh,
attention to the crying, and now they're focused on the crying and they're going to clean it up, and then that's that. I am pro not handing the tissue. It made sense to me because I started to think about how many times I felt like someone was saying you can stop now. I know that's not
mm,
true. I know that people
yeah,
I will say this. I think they're uncomfortable with any of the fluids happening when someone's crying. I
yeah,
really do. I think that's the number one reason people hand a tissue over.
yeah.
And also they're like, I don't know what else to do. Let me be helpful. Okay. If and this whole don't hand them a tissue is not widely or at least universally taught. One person in my entire career has ever known of that. The person who taught me that. And then when I
Wow.
tell people that, the defensiveness that happens when I say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so this is what I was taught. And then I started to notice for myself, like, yeah, that doesn't feel good. Feels like you're telling me to stop crying. And so I do.
Mm,
And how much progress we can stop just because we've offered someone a tissue. Man, this is a dividing point in professionals. Like, I don't
yeah.
know if you've ever discussed this with other psychologists or anyone
No,
in the helping field,
it's
but it is
fascinating.
a real dividing point. And that is
Mm,
a really good, like, point in what we're making about our field, that
yes.
there's not universality, and also that people are we're just bringing our humanness into these things,
Mm-hmm.
and so you get some really unhealed person who's now trying to help others,
Oh,
and they don't even understand not to hand somebody a tissue when they're crying. For
mm,
listeners, if this is triggering you, it's okay to have the tissues out and around the room so
yes.
that if they would like the tissue themselves, they may grab it. But never once will I hand someone a tissue, ever.
No, isn't that funny? I've never even heard that, but I so get it. I always had tissues. We'd have a couple of lounges and a little coffee table, and there were always tissues on it, so they could help themselves whenever they wanted. But and they could use a whole box of tissues if they wanted, but I never
Mm-hmm.
handed them one either. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
very
it's
powerful. really
It
good
is.
because
It
it
is.
does change. It just interrupts that processing for them, even anything. So any reaching out, any doing something breaks that pattern
Mm-hmm.
and changes that experience. So I think that's a really good point. I agree with you. Yeah, have the
Yeah.
tissues there, but let them do that for themselves because
Well,
that's what
because
we're
how many
doing, aren't
times
we?
has that happened to you? You know that somebody, even if it's not a tissue and somebody just interrupts when you're like really, oh, that's a trigger for me. If I am talking and being vulnerable and I'm interrupted, like with my husband, that's who I'm thinking of. Because I'll just be talking about something that's important to me and maybe it's not important to him. And we're in the car and he's like, oh, look at, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck, that makes me never fucking want to talk to you every fucking time you do that. Like, this was important to me. Maybe it didn't seem important to you, but like, everything's important to me because it's hard for me to share shit.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling with vulnerability. So if I'm sharing any
Mm,
little part of me, act like you care, my God. And he's always like,
yeah.
well, I thought you would want to see that. And I'm like, not more than I want to finish what I was saying. No.
Mm, yeah. And being able to explain that to him is important. The same as,
Mm-hmm.
when, because similar in some ways, my husband doesn't say too much at all. So sometimes I want you to say something. And he's like, well, what do you want me to say?
Oh my God,
Okay.
no. My husband's like that too. No, for real. Is your husband an Aquarius?
No, Scorpio.
It's funny, my
He's
son's
a
a
good
Scorpio.
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
mine
sometimes
too.
I
He's
think,
just
oh,
he's up here. He lives in
mhm.
his brain a lot. Um, But it's been really that's actually been, the big part of expanding my consciousness is being able to look at him as another human and see the me and him and the him and me. Like we're not any
Mm,
different. And I used to feel like we were exact opposites. And then as I started to understand like our motivators are pretty similar,
mhm.
our narratives are pretty similar and we were talking the other day even, and I was like, "I don't know, can I offer you my opinion about that?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Kind of feel like," and I was just, I'm every time someone's struggling with something, I'm like, "I don't know. Okay, why would I do that?" Oh, because I felt
Mm,
betrayed, like, and
yeah.
and that's how I have gotten like impossibly close to him is to see the similarities in us instead of focusing so much on the differences. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that doesn't still happen, and every now and then I'm like,
Mm,
we might be too different, but I am able to have such closeness with people that I didn't used to be able to have because I'm no longer seeing the world through my wounding. Like I
yes.
understand that feeling betrayed is different than somebody betraying you or
Yes.
feeling like I'm neglected and that people don't help me carry heavy shit when I'm stressed or whatever is
Mm,
not the same as them actually not offering the support. But I was the
yeah.
person who because it felt like every time something bad happened, I happened to be alone, like he was at work, or like I'm the
Mm,
adult in the situation, I gotta deal with it on my own. Ooh, I could turn that into a "you're never there for me" situation so
oh,
fast, and that's what I
absolutely.
would do. I would call him up, be like, "Well, you're not fucking here again. So I'm here dealing with the dog who's having a
Mm,
seizure." And what I'm actually saying is I'm scared and I'm afraid I can't deal with this by myself. And I've
yeah.
never, been empowered to deal with these things by myself. And expectations give me the ick. So now I'm mad at you for putting me in a position where I have to step up and be the one and have these expectations put on me, and it took a long time to unravel that, but it's made us so much closer because I can see like, oh, I created a lot of victimness in my life. I didn't see that before, but I definitely did. But I think that's why I love working with people so much is to point those things out. Like,
Yes.
sure, that's true, but I feel like that's where other modalities are really failing clients is because yes, boundaries are important. Yes, it's important to state your needs. But I feel like a lot of therapists are really empowering this unreasonable level of expectation in their
Mhm.
clients, and they're
Yeah.
doing them a disservice by allowing to this level, this feeling, it's almost an entitlement. Like, just because I have a
Mhm.
need means you have to meet that need, because that's what relationships are. I state a
Yeah.
need and you're supposed to meet it. And then if you
Oh.
can't, I'm going to set a boundary. In theory, nothing is wrong with any of that. But what I've learned in my own life is the less expectations I have, the happier we all are, because we're all humans and he's living for the first time too. And
Mhm.
now that compassion that I can give to myself, that understanding that this is my first time being alive, and the first half of my life was spent asleep and in pain, I can now extend that compassion to the caregivers who failed me,
Yeah.
to my siblings who have abandoned me, like
Mm.
to anyone who's hurt me. I can understand how it happened. I really
Yeah.
can. That doesn't mean that I'm going to choose to have certain people in my life, because I don't feel like enough's changed to where the dynamic's gonna be any different now, and I do deserve peace, and I do deserve
Mm.
to not be talk shit to nonstop and, cutting me down and just the little things
Yeah.
that boomers love to do. But,
Uh-huh.
like, I feel like we're hurting people by continuing to enable this cycle of, like, you have a need, this person's supposed to meet it, or at least we have to compromise it to death. Let's talk it to death. Talk it, talk, talk. Whereas
Mm.
now, like, I can get really pissed at him and understand there's not a compromise, but still say, how can we coexist? Like, having
Mhm.
such polarizing opinions about
Beliefs,
something,
yeah.
how can we still coexist?
Mm. And I think you touched on something really important before when you were saying about um, the open wound and sharing from that, and that really stands out for me. That we all have our wounds, but when we've done that deep inner work, like you have, like I have, and we're still a work in progress. We're never done.
Obviously. Mhm.
And as we shed the layers, etc., that when we heal that wound, we still carry the knowledge attached to all our pain, but we come from that healed wound rather than the gaping wound. And that is what makes the biggest difference. So, as a therapist, we know that psychologist, social worker, doesn't matter what you are, coach, a lot of us get into that field because we love helping people, or there's
Mhm.
a lot of people that get into the field because they have their own shit.
Yeah.
And
There's still people very actively codependent, and that's why they're in the field,
yes,
because they think they're gonna be able to save the world.
save the world, fix everyone. And again, those expectations lead right into what you were saying, that the expectations aren't realistic. So
Mhm.
we have to make sure our expectations are realistic. And we can't heal the world. We're not miracle workers,
Right?
but we can just work one person at a time and show them a different way and really connect with them at that deep, deep level. And it's almost like the knowledge and the healed part of us can show them and lead the way and send that almost like that light to the other person. That sounds very weird, but
No,
can
I get what you're
heal.
saying.
Yeah, can share that and give them hope that they can heal, that they can do the work as well. And we can just guide them through to do that work. But we
Yeah,
can't fix it
because
for them.
no, and there are still times that I have to go, "Pump the brakes, babe. This isn't your thing to solve.
Yeah.
Is you're in this to offer and allow and hold, but you can't fix it." And also there's times when when I will say to somebody, "This is not therapeutic advice. This is not your therapist saying this, but I'm going to say this to that because my humanness will come right out." But I do clarify it with that. But, like, I have a client who is in a relationship that here we would probably define as like a situationship, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I didn't understand this dynamic so intimately, I would be constantly nagging her. She wouldn't be my client anymore because she would have gotten
Mm-hmm.
tired of me telling her what to do ages ago, right? So
Yeah.
I do tons of educating on
Yeah.
on why this dude behaves this way, not so that she will continue to excuse behaviors, but because she's not ready to let it go. She hasn't been, and that's fine as long
Yeah.
as I will support her in this, as long as she's not taking the behavior personally, as long as she understands that his shit's his shit
It's
and
his
her
stuff.
shit's her
Yeah.
shit, and she probably needs to look at why she continues to think this shit's okay. But it's not
I
that she
mean,
does, but she doesn't want to let it go. And as a person who's done that lots and lots of times in my life, I'm gonna sit with you in this. I don't
yes.
mind doing that. And I'm so happy that I feel the authority and autonomy to do that instead of feeling like there's some script or guideline I need to follow
Mhm.
or a diagnosis to slap on her. That's
Yeah.
why I hate diagnoses too. I feel like I know way too many people walking around. I'm not even going to say the diagnoses because I don't want anyone to feel attacked, but
Yeah.
walking around with a couple of different personality disorders, and they wear that like a label and as
Yes.
if it's something you can't recover from. And
Yes.
as a person with a fuck ton of narcissistic traits, and could have been diagnosed with borderline and bipolar at any point in my
Mhm.
history because I was a fucking raving lunatic, okay? I did not behave well with the people close to me, especially my intimate partners. Psychotic. So I could have gotten those diagnoses at any time. I'm real glad I didn't because I think I probably would have been one of the people who was like, oh gosh, that means I'm going to be living with this for life. No, no, no. What you're living with for life is the trauma that created that. You're
Yes.
not living with this diagnosis. It's not a
Mm.
medical condition. It's a fucking label that someone years ago created to put you in a category so that they could bill insurance. That's all it is. That's all it
Mm.
is. Like that's why
Yeah.
the DSM exists. We
Exactly.
otherwise we wouldn't need to know all of those things. We would need to know them for some of the psychiatric disorders, but that's a totally different class of
Yeah.
diagnoses than personality disorders, and people lean so heavily on these. That's
Mhm.
why I decided that's why I stayed away from being a therapist for so long. I'm so glad because I
Mm.
would have sucked at it, like, in my former version of myself, and I
Mm.
must have known that because I didn't wanna do it. But, like, I would have perpetuated that stuff, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad that I'm not.
But those labels, as you said, they become the identity. And that's why, yes, they can be helpful, as you said, but they can also be destructive. And if we become like I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I thought, oh my God, well, I can't possibly work as a therapist because I have PTSD. And I remember seeing for an assessment um, to look at whether I could, keep working as a result of the trauma was you've got PTSD and you're going to be basically have this forever.
Mhm.
You should be able to, you can retire as what's the word? Total permanent disability, like go and retire from doing that. And I thought,
Wow.
what? This is a psychiatrist. It was just an assessment standard thing I went to. And I thought, really? Oh, really? I'm going to be stuck with it for life. And I thought, no, that's bullshit. I don't want to choose to have it for life. And yes, okay, I have experienced trauma. I met the criteria for PTSD, but I no longer choose to carry that. I've healed what I can heal, and now I can move forward and live with trauma
Mhm.
and
And
go into
that's what I really love
post-traumatic
about,
growth.
like, us having the types of shows that we have too, because I get to show in real time all the time. Like, I don't have it all figured out. I'm still
Uh-huh.
learning every day about myself and the world around me and how to
Mhm.
affect change in my community and in
Yeah.
myself first. And so I love that we are giving real life examples that you can be really great at functioning in the world and still be figuring it out all the
Mm.
time because there isn't a point at which you and I or anyone else are going to stop learning how to exist better in this world.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And it's good to be a lifelong learner.
Agree. Agree. Because I think about where I was before. Well, I'm proud of her. I'm proud of the former version of me who got me here because I did always want to learn. I thought I was very self-aware, which is just very funny to me now, but I was aware enough, I guess, of some things, but I mean, I certainly didn't understand, my victimization of myself, and I didn't
Mhm.
see the narcissistic tendencies. But I was committed to becoming as self-aware as possible. I'm
Mhm.
sure I still have some blind spots, but I'm no longer afraid of them the way I was. I sought the knowledge I did before for control. But now it's just to continue to evolve and love myself more and share that with others. And to an earlier point that we made, um, I I believe that the change I make in myself is big enough to affect change in my orbit. Anyone in my
Mhm.
energy, their world changes every change I make, and then the ripple effect is that they will go and they
Mm.
will change anyone's energy that comes into contact with them, and that's the way that we make change. And the implications are that you heal yourself first. There's no way that that doesn't have community implications.
Oh, absolutely. You're an absolute ripple maker in everything you do. As you heal, that flows out to others and to others. And for you, I see you as a guiding light, leading the
Mhm.
way. And you've done so much work from where you were based on our conversation the other day. And it's like, oh my goodness, this is so powerful. And I love that for your listeners, for your clients. I think it's wonderful. I think we all can do that.
Mhm.
We all need to
Yeah,
know
and
we're a
I
work in
believe that
progress.
too.
Yeah.
That there is no trauma too big that I think we can overcome. And I think it takes somebody, whether it's your therapist or whoever, to say like, "Yeah, I get it. Like I
Yeah.
know right now it feels really impossible. I also know how loud that noise in your head can get,
Mhm.
and I know how disconnected you feel from your body, and I know that you can't stop overthinking." And like I get it. I really do, but there isn't if I could overcome, I have no doubt in anybody's ability, and it fuels me to continue this work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I love that so much. And the thing is, though, that you can't do it on your own.
Right.
That's one of my biggest learnings, that you can try, but there needs to be some sort of safe community around you. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be a therapist. For me, I chose for it not to be.
Right. Same Z's.
Yeah. But, it's about being aware and then being committed to doing the work.
Yeah. Man, you just gave me an idea. But I feel like too I'm so open about the fact that the people who have come on my show, me not having an ego and feeling like I need to compete with them, which
Mm.
is something maybe I would have done in, a former life. Um, when they come with information I'm unaware of, I'm like, wait, 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 what? What does that mean? So are
Mm.
you saying I do this because? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I love to learn from other people. They don't even have to be in the field that I'm in, but if they know
Mm.
something that's life altering, I mean, thank God I don't have an ego because the girl that gave me that information about that book that saved my life, she
Mm.
had just graduated from actually she wasn't even graduated from grad school yet in social
Wow.
work. And I
Mm.
didn't give a shit. I was like, "Well, thank you, Jenny. Thank you so
Exactly.
much. You just saved my life." And I had her on for a second time and she had to give me a whole therapy session because I was in a pissed off mood with my husband. And anytime I have a professional on and I'm having a problem, I'm like, "Let's talk it out, okay?" But
Mhm.
I will still just randomly send her messages like, "I'm still talking about you and Troy. I just want you to know the work you do is so you saved my life. You don't even understand. Like, Brian, your cousin, also very happy with you giving me that information.
I
Thank
love it.
you so much." Because, man, I'm grateful to myself too that I didn't have an ego, that I could take this information from somebody who hadn't even
Mm.
graduated from with her master's yet. I don't give a shit about that, but I know
No.
other people who do. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
And
It's like,
just like you said, even just the people who come in with coaching certifications, I don't give a shit. If you have something in
yeah,
your hands that is impacting people around you, come impact me, please. Please come tell me about
exactly.
it because
It's that
I'm thirsty for it.
Yes, it's that willingness to learn and to grow, and I think that's what makes the difference, that we never know it all. We can never know it all, and if someone has something valuable to offer, I'm all for, yes, please share that with us.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I thank you so much for waking up early on a Saturday for me.
Pleasure. Pleasure. I
I've
would
had
get up
so much
any
fun
time
with
to chat.
you. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how can we talk more often?"
Yeah.
You're sparking ideas for how we can stay connected because
Yes, definitely.
you're my new little
Absolutely.
bestie. I'm not even playing.
It's so cool. I can't wait, and yes, so I'm off to Europe on Monday, very excited.
I'm so excited for
So,
you. I'm so
yes,
excited for
I
you.
will send you messages from Europe as I sip my coffee. I'll send you a message. Like, guess
Yes,
where I
with
am now?
pictures. Yes, please. Oh, you would give me so much joy if you
I
did that
will.
because I know this trip means a lot to you and I'm so excited for you and I'm really excited to hear kind of what you bring back with you.
Oh, I'm excited to see the person I become that comes back. Because for me, I'm looking at it, and I'm going to be hanging out. And I decided I got really brave yesterday and recorded a podcast, a solo episode, and I'm inviting people to come along and check me out on just on Instagram and Facebook,
Oh, I'm
because
proud of
I'm
you.
very much like you. You want to walk your walk and talk your talk. There's no point me hosting a show like Growing Tall Poppies unless I'm prepared to lead by example. So I know that I'm in my post traumatic growth phase for sure, but I know that there's still baggage I need to let go of. So I'm going to travel over with have a full suitcase, and you'll see me shedding some baggage in bins along the way. But I'm
Oh, yeah.
looking at shedding and fully embodying who I'm going to become, the person who learn is going to learn how to be present and be in the moment rather than in my head constantly. So this is my big challenge for me, to embrace it and just enjoy what's happening around me. So I haven't been good at that in the past, and it's time to bring back the new version of me as I fully step into my post-traumatic growth. So I'm excited.
Oh, I'm excited. When are you releasing your solo episode before you leave?
Yeah, next week.
Okay,
Tuesday.
perfect. Okay. I'm
Yeah, it's
excited
just
for it.
a mini episode, so it's more just come along, join me, and who knows who I'll be when I come back, but I'm open to anything.
Oh man, I'm so excited for you. Before we go, is there anything you want to shout out about yourself, where people can find you, anything you're promoting, anything like that?
Oh, thank you. Probably, like, I'm on Instagram as Doctor, as in DR, but I'm not precious about my doctor title, Dr. Nat Green, and on Facebook as Dr. Natalie Green. And you'll see, like in my bio, there's a link to the free archetype quiz, so you can find out about your trauma
Yeah, I meant to
archetype.
do that the other day. You
Yeah,
told me that whenever we talked. I need to do that today.
yeah. So it's really good insight into how you respond to trauma and how you can accelerate your moving from trauma to post-traumatic growth. That's very insightful. So I'm going to be exploring the archetypes as I'm over in Europe and seeing which ones are strongest over there and which ones help me release stuff as I go through. And so there's that. And then there's the book called Break Your Trauma Cycle, which is also on the link in the bio. So they're the two main things. And my book will be coming with me as I'll be reading it in each of the main places I go. So over coffee,
Oh,
always coffee.
oh, me too, honey. Me too. Well, I'm so proud of you. I'm
Oh,
excited
thank
for you. I
you.
can't wait to follow along. I guess I didn't I think I followed your Instagram the other day, but I don't know. I'm gonna go and make sure I did it because I think I got
Yeah,
stuck on your show when I was making sure to do all the things that we do for each other.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of you. I'm so
Oh,
happy
thank
for you,
you.
and I'm happy for me. And thank you, Mel, for introducing us. You're the
Yes.
second person I've met from her.
Oh, that's
And
good.
yeah, and she understands energy very well
Oh,
because
she's
she knew
amazing.
we would get along really well,
Yes.
and boy
Yes.
boy have we.
Well, besties for life, my love. Don't get rid of me
Good. I'm
now.
glad you feel it too. Because we're gonna meet in person. I know it. I just know it.
Absolutely.
Somehow, some way it's gonna happen. And we're gonna do big things together. I just already know it.
Yes, definitely. So whereabouts in the States are you?
Well, I'm not in a fun place. I'm in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Yes. But I can go other places in the States.
Okay.
I just, I'm here,
Mhm.
and we don't even know what to call ourselves. Some people call us Midwesterners. Some
Huh?
people say we're in the South.
Huh.
The Midwesterners do not claim us, though. They say,
Uh,
no, they are not, but neither does the South.
well, I haven't been to Oklahoma. I've been to lots of places over there, but not there. So I'll add that to my list.
Yeah, well, you're not missing much, so if you want to go somewhere else, I can meet you there.
Okay, that's good too.
We do have a couple of cool things. I mean, it's as far as history goes and landmarks, those are
Oh,
pretty cool, but some of the people,
oh, oh
we're
dear.
we're a red state, so it's rough around
Oh,
here right now. Just
yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's
Thank
been a pleasure. I've loved
you.
chatting
I've had
again.
such a good time. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to stop recording.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share.